Hello everyone, it's Dr. Kellie Cassidy here, Clinical Psychologist and owner at Cassidy Psychology in Mount Pleasant and Canning Vale. Today I wanted to speak with everyone about NAPLAN. So if you're not aware, NAPLAN is a test that's done in May every year with children in years 3, 5, 7 and 9, which assesses their literacy and numeracy. So it's only about a week and a half away. It starts on Tuesday the 15th of May. And this year, 2 of my children are taking part in NAPLAN. I have one child in year 3 and one in year 5. So they'll both be taking part in that this year. And I guess I really just wanted to share some of my thoughts and opinions on NAPLAN. It's interesting that the most recent Gonski report that's come out this week, last week, whenever it might have been, suggests that we might not be having it for too much longer. Sometimes I think NAPLAN gets a bad rap, but I actually think the problem is the way the test and the results of the test have been used that's the problem, because I think at its core, what we do with NAPLAN is actually a really good idea. NAPLAN is about just assessing where kids are at and using that information to know whether their numeracy and literacy is on track. And in terms of it being a standardised test across Australia, there can be really valuable data in that we can use both at a national level, but also at an individual child level and all those spectrums in between. So it can be really valuable if it's used in the right way. Unfortunately, I've seen it being used to compare one school against another. I've seen children having to submit their NAPLAN results to decide whether they're going to be submitted into a school or not. And this really just isn't the intent of what NAPLAN is meant to be about. I actually think it's a great idea to be assessing where kids' numeracy and literacy is at a standard time each year, so that we can target and help them, because we know sometimes children fall through the cracks and their difficulties with numeracy and literacy just aren't picked up. The other difficulty I really have, and one of my biggest bugbears, is walking into bookstores or other educational shops and seeing NAPLAN tests available to buy for parents to take home and practice. There is absolutely no reason to be practicing this test. Yes, it might help to make children familiar with it, but that's happening at school. And it makes me really, really cross that some parents are practicing it with their kids at home so that they get really good marks on the test. Because one, that doesn't help with what the intent of NAPLAN's all about, but two, I think it just adds added stress and pressure onto children that they simply don't need. What I tell my children about this, and sometimes I find them getting stressed out about NAPLAN, and I think it comes from school, is that really NAPLAN is a test not of their ability, but of how well their teachers have done at teaching them. And so I flip it around that way to take the stress and pressure off of them. And that seems to work quite well for them. Naturally, some children are going to feel more stressed just by hearing the word test or exam, or however they might conceive it. And we know that is a thing, and it might be applying not just to NAPLAN, but to any maths test or science test or whatever else they have to take. And that's completely different. It's also, an issue here that NAPLAN might also be helping to identify when children have literacy and numeracy issues. So we know some children have dyslexia. Some children have what's called dysgraphia, which is difficulties with written expression. Some children have Dyscalculia, which is an issue with maths. NAPLAN might be a way of kind of starting to identify those things. So there could be definitely things going on in the background, which could be really, really helpful. So my suggestions are, with NAPLAN approaching, if you, like me, have a child who's about to take part in that, really do all the normal things. Make sure they're well rested, they're eating good food, they're getting lots of physical activity, and that they're just going to be in the best place possible to take that test, because we want them to do well. Encourage them to do well, but remind them it's not the be all and end all. The sun's still going to rise the next day, and it doesn't matter. Perhaps perhaps remind them, like I do with my kids, it's about assessing whether your teacher's a good teacher, not about whether you're a superstar at maths and literacy necessarily. Really simple things like that. There is no need to be practicing it at home, doing sorts of things, those sorts of things. If you know that your child has an issue in numeracy or literacy already, well then yes, you might be doing some additional things to support their learning. But it's not just teaching them how to take a test. That's actually giving them skills in improving their spelling or whatever their issue might be. So really, I guess my underlying message is please take the pressure off NAPLAN. There's simply no need for any pressure to be applied. But if you're noticing that in general your child has test anxiety or you've got some concerns about their literacy and numeracy, come along and see a psychologist. They're things that we can help with. We can teach children how to manage anxiety around tests. We can assess for things like dyslexia and identify whether there is actually an underlying learning issue that might be occurring. So if that's the case, by all means come and see us. But if your child is simply a bit stressed because whether it's teachers, schools or parents applying too much pressure around NAPLAN, my advice is to just back off and just let them be kids and let them just be as they are. Okay? So I hope everyone, if their children like mine are taking part in NAPLAN, can use some of that and find it helpful for their own children. As always, here at Cassidy Psychology, we're working together with you to help you flourish and thrive. I will look forward to speaking with you all again soon. Bye for now.